The West Australians at Palmytfontein, the 19th of July 1900. On the 7th of June, De Wet had inflicted a defeat on the British troops at Rudeval. In the ensuing month, British forces nearly had him trapped against the mountains of Basutoland, but he escaped through a pass called Slabbett's Neck on the 15th of July, followed by General Ridley's mounted infantry, of which the West Australian mounted infantry under Major Moore were a part. A battle took place with De Wet's rear guard under Dani Theron at Palmfontein on the 19th of July 1900. On the 27th of July 1900, when he was outside Friedevoort, Captain Francis Parker of the 1st Whammies wrote a dramatic account of this engagement. Quote, "The column came right upon the Boer rear guard, and we were ordered to clear a party of them out of a ridge overlooking, as we thought, a spruit. We did this in great style, and on reaching the summit found another ridge to our front, and also that the Boers were about 500 strong and seemed to be in full retreat along a plain on the other side of the spruit. The Major, first making sure that some troops were in close so we could not be surprised from that quarter, then gave the order to gallop for the next ridge. We were about 30 strong and went as hard as our horses would go. We got to within 20 yards of the summit only to find that a party of Boers had turned with the object of holding the same ridge. About 8 Boers had dismounted and started to fire at us at this close range. Most of us were making for the right-hand point of the ridge, but immediately I saw these Boers pop up. I swerved around and went for the left and ordered a few men near me to do the same. 4 or 5 succeeded in getting to a kraal, jumping in behind the friendly cover, from whence they did good work. The remainder dismounted and left their horses and tried to get cover behind a convenient ant heap, most of those who were hit being amongst this lot. On the way to the kraal I yelled out, 'Where is the Major?' but could not find him, so dismounting turned round towards the right and saw 2 men and a horse drop. As soon as the men on the left opened fire, I saw one man who had been holding 3 horses outside the kraal make for it, as 2 of the 3 horses dropped. One of the men in the kraal put his helmet up just by the top of the wall to draw the fire, while another was waiting for the Boer to rise up. The ruse succeeded splendidly, for they bagged this Boer. In a quarter of an hour the Boer fire slackened and suddenly ceased altogether. One of the men shouted out, 'They are bolting!' Now our turn came. We gave them socks, accounting for 6 killed. Mounting my horse, I set out to find the Major, when to my sorrow I heard he was fatally wounded. Poor fellow! He was hit by a martini bullet and only lived a few minutes. It was a terrible sight that met one's eyes on looking around. There lay 7 poor fellows wounded, about 8 horses dead and 7 others hit, 2 of which I at once ordered to be shot. One man was on the broad of his back behind an ant heap with a bullet through his leg, but smoking as if nothing had happened. A Victorian trumpeter who was attached to us had his horse hit in 4 places, but he had his revenge, for he bowled over one Boer with a shot from his revolver. Although the fighting only lasted a quarter of an hour, it was perfect hell, the Boers using a lot of explosive bullets, and every time one of these hit, there was a crack just like that of a whip. Happily none of the men were hit by these, but some of the poor brutes of horses were. It was a frightful sight to see the spot just after the firing was over. 7 men were laying on the ground, some badly hit, some slightly, but all unable to move, and 10 horses killed. I cannot write what I feel about this day, and especially about the Major. His death has left me in charge of the company, and I'm beginning to realise the worry and the responsibility. We are all despondent at the turn of our luck. The strength of the contingent on parade is now only 55. Out of this number, about 35 can parade with the company mounted. I cannot write any more. I don't feel myself at all. Hell of a drive around Sale. It's a Friday afternoon, and even though it's a tiny little town, it feels kind of busy. I've been up and down little streets looking for this, and I'm hoping that this is it. It's impressive. I've had nothing to eat since I left home. I'm starving. Yeah, we're in the right place. We got it. It's well worth the visit. So I've done 333 kilometres since I left home. And now I can turn on and head off to my friend's place. Stay there the night. There's one more to do tomorrow in Cardella. But look at this. I mean, I've never been to one with something elaborate like this all around it. Hey, amazing. And just make out down there, Monument Masons, Cobden and Sons of Melbourne. So, this plaque commemorates the re-sighting of this memorial from the corner of Raymond and McAllister to its present site. Boer War veteran Mr. G.E.T. Kelly unveiled the plaque on the 25th of April 1972. Look at it. In memory of our soldiers who fell in the Boer War. How did they move it? How did they relocate it? Amazing. Atkinson, privates Greenwood, Lamb, Rankin, Wilson, Sergeant Pruden. Privates Balding, is it? McClure, Warford, Crichton, Johnson, Woodman, Walker. There's no flowers here from Anzac Day. Sergeant MacDonald, Malloy, Stevenson's, Farrier, Rose, Lance Corporal Mays, Sadler, Davis, Corporal McGowan. And once upon a time, yeah, I suppose it had running water. Wow. This is fantastic. And where I'm going now is down there towards Leongatha. So this works out really well. I've never seen something protected like this is in a rose garden. And yet oddly, there's not really any indication at all from the outside what it's all about. As I said, there's no, I'd expect some dead flowers from Anzac Day. It was only like 2 weeks ago. There's nothing here. Alright, so what have we done? We've done 4 today, and only 2 of them we saw. 2 out of 4 ain't bad, I suppose Meatloaf would have said. Right, well, I'll get a photo here of it, and I'll tell you all about the memorial. The drinking fountain commemorates those who died in service or were killed in action in the South African Boer War. The foundation stone was laid on the 27th of October 1909 and was relocated to the present location in 1972. This is from the Argus of Melbourne, the 29th of November 1909. The Argus is the newspaper. So it says a fallen soldier's memorial has been erected in the memory of those who left Gippsland to take part in the Boer War. It was unveiled on Saturday by Colonel Hoxton, Honorary Commonwealth Minister, in the presence of a large number of townspeople. There were present a detachment of the 10th ALH under Major Lloyd, and also cadets from the Agriculture High and State Schools. When the monument, which takes the form of a drinking fountain, was unveiled, the military saluted and bugles sounded the last post. The first drink was handed to Mrs. Walter Lyon. Boer War veteran Mr. C.E.T. Kelly unveiled the plaque on the 25th of April 1972. Stop recording.